Thank you, Loy. Thank you, Loy. You are listening to Relics Radio. Thursday night, boy, I tell you what, where are we at? February 2nd, 2023. Already into February, boy. We're going, you know what? My England trip's getting closer and closer. Isn't that right, Tony?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
I'm not counting or anything. 6 weeks.
Going to England. Yeah. We're going to get crazier about that as we get closer for sure. How are you, man? Hey, happy Thursday to you.
Happy Thursday. Happy February. Happy decent weather.
Oh my gosh, we're going to be in the 40s this next week. I'm so excited. I'm so excited, man. Come on.
Well, I got to tell everybody first, we bring up the weather and, there's certain things that we always talk about, right? You went out to see if our permission was clear enough for us to get out like tomorrow.
Yeah, I did. I was like, you know what? We had 35-degree weather today.
I'm going to go see if now. 35 degrees, it's got to be thawed.
I'm going to go see if I can get a shovel in the ground. I went over there. We got like 400 or 500 acres, like this huge area. I was like, man, there's a lot of snow out there.
Still 6 inches of snow on the ground, frozen, but
any day some weeds peeking through there. Right.
Any day now.
I had to go look, man.
I love it, man. You what did I tell you? I said, don't tease me now. Don't tease me.
Tony, it's perfect, man. My shovel went right in.
Like butter.
I can handle the cold. I can handle getting muddy and dirty, right?
Yes. The ground has to be thawed.
But it is a fight if you are chipping concrete all day long, and that'll take the fun right out of it. That'll make you work. That'll make you mind the cold and
maybe we'll have to order some Excalibur shovels.
Propane and one of those torches, propane tank.
Yeah.
You just drag it behind us. Every target. Just hit that ground. What's been going on, man? How are things down south?
We're doing better. It was like 35 yesterday. I think it was about the same again today, but beautiful, like no clouds, no wind, which is huge out east, southeast.
Yeah.
It was nice. I'm getting anxious. I'm telling you, I'm getting anxious.
Me too, man. Got this legend for Christmas. Haven't been able to get it out anywhere yet. Been doing a lot of air tests and monkeying around with it. And
I have a confession.
What's that? Did you get out with your Manticore? Did you get out?
Where I work at, I'm on 50 acres, and there was an old homestead that was there. And that was actually why we actually got over to that site. And then long story short, I got a job over there. Anyways, it's right on the property, right? So we can't dig. It's still frozen. There's still snow. I turned it on just to get over in that area where the house was and the two barns, just to listen to tones, just to see if I can hear anything different. We've been over to that site. I don't know how many times. We pretty much have just said it's iron, or horse tack, stuff like that. It's all that's left. But just to listen, because I'm getting anxious. I mean, we got 6 weeks, right? If I'm going to take the Manticore to England, I need to do something with it.
You got to get some time on it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in England and learning that machine. No. That's for sure. 100%. I mean, you're still going to be learning in England, but yeah.
You got to get the legend out and start listening to it.
Right. That's why I've been doing air tests and running stuff over the coil and seeing how far out I could stretch it. I know. Air tests. But
right.
Yeah. I took my little gold coin and I had that thing stretched out to where I was like, yeah, I dig that. Yep, I dig that. Yep, I dig that. I dig that.
That's all you got to know, right? That's all you need to know, right? I dig that.
On edge, I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Oh yeah, that's plenty. It's plenty.
Holy cow, we got some riot people already in the chat.
Shout them out. See who's in the chat. I know some people started rolling in already.
They were quick. We have
only talk about 50% of them though.
Yes, we're only going to do 50% of only comment 50%. And we'll be here 50% of the time tonight. First one in, Mark Myers with the Dr. Evil picture. And Bill Hayes is in, Metal Diggers, Scotty D.
What's up, Scotty?
Mr. Buckle Boy, and Mr. David Rose.
David, how are you, man?
Yeah.
Good to see everyone. Everyone's coming in here. Hollywood Joe.
Yeah.
And Squatch Brothers. Hey, Kevin, how are you, man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. We got a good group here tonight. Dirt Pirate also showed up early tonight. Barb, how you doing?
Nice.
And welcome, everyone. Welcome. Good show tonight, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with Merrill. He's always a good guest, man. Every time we've had him on, I've never had a chance to dig with him. I've never gone out to the East Coast and dig with him, but I am going to do that. Is on my bucket list. Absolutely. Brian Yurden in the house. Thank you, man, for your little package you sent me. I have yet to talk about it, but absolutely amazing, man. Thank you so much. And Michael Boyle's in the house. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Yep.
If you get out east to dig with Meryl, you got to figure out the legend and bottle caps. Remember, that's what Meryl's always saying. New York City and the bottle caps.
Bottle caps.
You have to figure that out before you get out there.
Yeah. I've been taking all kinds of junk and running around the edge of the coil and see what things sound like. Again, just air testing and kind of hearing what things sound like. But that's all I can do right now. I can't get out. I could go plant coins, I guess, under the snow and kind of just listen to them on top of the surface. But I really want to get some stuff in the ground and go out into the wild.
We'll get there with this warm weather.
I hope so. Whole week of 40s, man. I don't know what it's doing overnight. It's probably still going to freeze overnight, so it might not do too much thawing. But tell you what. Hey, did you happen to watch the video we're going to be talking about tonight, Tony?
Was there a new video or something? Something that everybody's talking about? Dear Lord.
Yeah.
I saw it drop in my Facebook alerts when Meryl had sent out the original video. Yeah. Facebook alerts were going crazy. I texted you. I said, Meryl dropped this video, and everybody is going crazy about this thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anytime somebody makes a strong statement or a strong stance on anything, right? Whatever it is, it usually gets some attention. So, hey, let's bring our guest on. Go ahead and bring Meryl on.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen or know, Meryl was on here just a couple weeks ago, actually. So we're always happy to bring back our friend Meryl from YouTube, Metal Detecting NYC. And I think there's a couple things we'll talk about with Meryl tonight. But Meryl, thanks for coming on, buddy. It's great to talk with you again.
It is always great to be here. What's up, everybody? I always love coming on the show.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, you're always great, always open. Hey, you've told me before, Ken, you ever need a guest, just give me a call. I'll come on. You like talking stuff as much as we like talking stuff. So we're a perfect match.
Absolutely. Yes.
So how are things in your world? You're over in New York. Now you have a YouTube channel called Metal Detecting NYC.
Yep, Metal Detecting NYC.
Yeah.
And it was originally created, I guess, to document my journey as a metal detectorist. And New York has beaches. It's got a whole lot of history. It's got a whole lot of concrete, and that just keeps on growing, sadly. But, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's here. And it's totally morphed into something else. I was really enjoying the opening anecdote, and you guys are frozen out, and my heart goes out to you both. The weeks that we get that here, we head to the beach, and one time it was so frozen that the sand in the beach did not move, and I was bouncing around like a mental patient. And I feel your pain, and it seems with the temperatures that you were stating that it's almost over. So I'm rooting for you guys to dig really, really soon. And yes, anytime you want to come East Coast, you let me know. I will be overjoyed, and we go digging.
Yeah, it's been a cold winter for us, man. It really has. It's been negative numbers multiple days, and just really, really, really bad winter this year. I think cold, not bad winter, but cold. But you should see how much snow I have piled up from shoveling my walk out in front of my house on my grass. It's like 6 feet tall, almost like this big berms all the way around the sidewalk. But hey, I'm always surprised, Meryl, when I see detectorists in New York. I guess because I watch so many videos, man. I think I see it more coming out of New York than anybody else reports or that I'm more familiar with. But the amount of old stuff you guys have coming out of public parks just amazes me, man. Mm-hmm. It amazes me. You have stuff coming out of parks that I see people pulling out old fields, and you expect that. But it always shocks me when I see something really old coming out of a New York City park or a New Jersey park.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like some of them, it seems never ending, and it's just the right spot. There's so much stuff that was dropped there, It's a very high volume, high traffic city, or at least it was before Roblox, the video game. The kids love that these days, and there's just been a whole lot dropped here, and it's amazing if you square the detector over the object. Occasionally you get those surprises. And I mean, there's some parks that you just see detectorists at, and we're talking like 10, 15, like every week, and they're still producing.
Yeah. Yep. Well, hey, you wanted to come on tonight. I know that we saw your video drop. You had a new video that came out, and when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I wonder what this video is going to be about, because it could have went all kinds of different directions, and I opened up and watched it, and I was like, and then you moved it to private and stuff. So why don't we start with telling people, because some people listening in either tonight live to us, thank you for being here, or later on in the replay, we appreciate you also, may be scratching their head. Now, we've got the link to the video in question and the link to all Merrill's social media, Metal Detecting NYC, right down below in the description, and Tony will be throwing it in the chat throughout tonight also. So if you're listening later, just look at the description, click on those links, you can go find him and find the video we're going to be talking about. But you can also look down through the chat and find the link as well. Tell us about this video, Merrill, and kind of what prompted you to do the video.
It started about a year ago, and I said to myself, I want to be a better person. So I stopped jaywalking. It's always been a problem over the course of my life. And, I stopped jaywalking. And you need some excitement in your life. So I'm like, okay, let's go with this investigative reporting, metal detecting thing. So I transitioned from the dangerous life of jaywalking to, the investigative metal detecting reporting. And,
Great,
I really appreciate the companies that I do investigative reporting on, if I can call it that. Okay, let me rephrase that. It's an investigative reporting with a heck of a lot of help. I'm the first to disclose. I'm not a master at the technical side of metal detecting. I'm getting all sorts of interesting emails from people. I try to read as many as I can, and that's, different times of the year. I have more time than others, but there have been a few that have really, really piqued my interest. And there was one that came in with various power levels, and from somebody who has left highly intelligent comments on my videos, named Dan Blankenship.
Right.
And basically, he's got a background, and he worked at Microsoft, and he's been detecting since 1976. To me, those are fantastic credentials.
Right.
And he's also, just like me, just like us, just OCD about this stuff. And he was trying to get as much information on the power that goes into the ground from metal detectors. And there's only so much public information on that. And really, it's the manuals that are out there. He went as far as to reach out to some of the companies that were out there. And long story short, he also did the research on the FCC and limits that, power, and that is vague. You're reading stuff that like feline lawyers like made up. They like hired their cats to just like dance on the keyboard and write this crazy lawyer stuff that means absolutely nothing, but sets the guidelines, on the limits of what can be, out there. And I get that. Like, for instance, interference between different products that are out there and radiation. Those are things that have to be regulated. And there was a great comment that I saw. The reason the FCC does this is so that your metal detector doesn't open up your garage door.
Right.
Yeah. And that encapsulates everything. So
yeah, I had a good comment too. I had a good comment on the post tonight on my Facebook group advertising your appearance. There was a good comment from DF Digger up in Maine, and he's worked in electronics, and he used to have to go around and test for basically radiation leakage from cables. When they started laying underground cable and fiber optic in mass quantities when cable came out, they it had a lot of leaks to it, a lot of leaks,
I
and
had
it was
no
and
idea.
it was generating at such a high level. These leaks would generate so much that it actually is a documented case that actually caused a plane to crash because
Oh my
there were
God.
so many laid over each other and crisscrossing and all this stuff near this small airport, I guess, that it was able to interfere with readings and instruments and stuff. So he told me he that's part of the reason why the FCC started clamping down and putting restrictions out there. And this is what he said. And then everything that comes out that generates radiation or some kind of radiative electromagnetic field has got to be regulated, and it all probably stemmed from that. Maybe it was around before, I don't know, but that's what DF Digger told me, and it made sense to me. And I thought, that's interesting from somebody that, that's what he used to do. He used to go around and measure it, and they'd have to get every year. He said they'd have to get a plane with a new ability to have more power to be able to map the ground to identify these leaks. So their detection equipment had to get more and more powerful to be able to, from the sky, track these hot spots of leaks. And then DF Digger's team would go in there and they would try to repair it and fix it and cap it and fix the leaks and stuff. So pretty
That's incredible. He does leak detecting and metal detecting. That's incredible.
Yeah, right.
Wonder if they got they need a helicopter for a pinpointer for that. That's pretty incredible.
That is incredible.
So I guess for the last week, I've been doing that like delicate dance of being responsible because, let's put it this way, Minelab, I feel like an art critic, and Minelab is the Picasso of the age. And also, there's challenging them because, yes, marketing exists. There's no question about it. And there's truth and there's marketing. And, there's some pretty bold claims that are out there with the Manticore. More power, more depth, more fines.
Yep.
Those are that's pretty
right off the website.
Right off the website. That's everywhere. And I've also been using this detector, and I can't say that it's disappointed, but it feels just like an Equinox. Now I'm saying this at 2 months, and
Right.
I remember doing my Equinox review, and I remember saying, well, the problem with the Equinox is it doesn't go as deep as other detectors. Well, guess what? I was wrong about that. It took me a while to totally, dial into that. I'm in the process of that, but we're also trying to, I'm trying to do that delicate dance. Like when Dan showed me the power levels and that stupid insert that's on the inside of the detector,
Right.
where they're claiming that the Manticore has more power, and then you see power on like this spreadsheet,
Right.
and 30 dBm like all the way down the list. It's like, wait a second, let's
Right.
do a video on this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if they have to disclose, and I, apparently that's they disclosed Nunya.
That's right. I love that. The Nunya.
Yeah.
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 They disclosed Nunya business.
Nunya business. Don't even ask.
But I know in all kinds of products you buy, right? All kinds of products you buy, they have a safety card in there that is their required regulated notice to consumers of all the possible risks and isn't that what you pulled up? Didn't you pull up a risk card, kind of like a safety insert that they put in there?
Yeah. So that was the safety insert that was in there, and like usually it's like a car, and they have like this little thing in a car. Like cars are choking hazards, but in this case, it was the power levels of the machine, the frequencies that it runs, and
what I took note of when watching that is that if I remember correctly, I don't have it up in front of me, so I'm going off a 55-year-old's memory right now, but they had two different power columns on that card, right? One power column was from the machine, the detector, and the other one was from the Bluetooth wireless devices within the machine, or the headphones and all that stuff.
And then there were the
they had
frequencies.
and they had kind of based on the frequency, and they had some pretty detailed numbers in that column, based on the frequencies. And then in the detector frequency, they just had like not greater than, you know what I mean? A certain level, and it was the same top to bottom. And I
saw Minelab Go Find, which is the child's toy detector from Minelab, with the same power output as the Manticore. And I knew that couldn't be, but right down the list, it's like, wait a second. And then you start thinking to yourself, like, wait, I'm not really getting much deeper with this. And, I also did some digging way back about Minelab being the strongest part of its parent company, which is Codan. And, basically just putting all of this together, it's pretty dependent on to sell its products. Like this is something that could be pushed out. The marketing could be pushed out, and it inspired me to just throw that out there. Now there's throwing it out there. There's responsibly throwing it out there. And I never expected to hear from Minelab. They're notoriously tough to get in contact with.
Right.
And, I didn't expect to hear from them. I'm driving to work one day, and it is Mark Laurie, the guy that I just animated as like the bad guy in Iron Man.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you later if he brought that up on the phone, just because, like, you made it very clear too. So before you get to this phone call, you made it very clear that at no point did Minelab ask you to take that video down.
Nah, they didn't.
Right.
That was me, because like they didn't get a chance to tell their side, and I don't want to. Like, I'm a big fan of Minelab. They do great stuff for us. They push the limits. They push the bar higher. And what's there to be mad about? Yes, I know. Well, okay, that's a whole nother topic. There's the leak issues and stuff that I don't think were fully resolved. And I saw that all over the comments. And I saw like some anger about the price. There are a few people that are getting upset, and they don't have that person to really do the talking for them. And I suppose they need that. But I'm a fan of Minelab. And it was important to me that I feel good about the video. And I can't stand it when people just do these like I don't know, like caustic things that just do nothing and, bring people down. It's not about bringing people down. It's about continuing a discussion. I don't think, due to my limited tech knowledge, I got far enough, but we got a little bit further in that discussion, a little bit further. And, the marketing, there is marketing and there is an enhancement. And I think it really came out at the end of the video. And Minelab, in fairness, they linked that to me. And Mark says, it's 50% more power. That does not mean 50% more depth. Right. And he goes on to say that it's maybe 3 centimeters you would get for a coin size object, 30 centimeter coin, and not 30 centimeter, various size, certain size coin. 30 centimeter coin would be a pretty big coin.
Maybe a big one.
Yeah. But basically, we're talking about like another inch into the ground. But if you think about that, if it is that, if you could get, 11 inches, with the Equinox, I measure it at about 11, 12 inches max on a dime. If it gets you to 13 on a dime, there's utility in that.
Yeah.
And it's just a question, like, if they make it sound like 50% more power, more fines, more, whatever the
More
marketing
depth.
is.
Yeah.
More depth. But
that's why I wondered where
story.
That's why I wondered where it came from for you to get on this latest investigation for you, is because I knew you had it, and I knew you were swinging it, and I thought, I wonder if you're not getting the results you thought you would get or that you hoped you would get, and that is what jumped you into doing this investigation and looking into it? Or was it truly just sort of a comment out of the blue from Dan that kind of got you thinking about it?
It was the card. It was the card.
The card
And
straight down, and they're all the same power output.
they're all
All
the
the
same.
same.
And being like, I did videos about the Manticore before it came out. I studied hard on those videos. And, you know, I kind of took it at face value. And Dan sends me an interesting email. And, you know, I'm always listening. You know, somebody with talent like that, I'm always listening. And, you know, he really tuned me in to the FCC and the regulations that's there. Now, Minelab says that that's not a hurdle at all. That's not, you know, that's not something that affects detecting. But the way that it was laid out, I'm like, this is kind of major, because the bigger part of this story is if power equals to depth. And it turns out it's not necessarily that. I've asked a few different sources. You know, it's a component of it, but you know, it's not just that. It's not the way that that Minelab makes the marketing sound. We could be at a standstill in terms of progress of metal detectors. That was really the bigger story right there, because if there was a hard cap and it limited how far we could go into the ground, and we all know we've had those days where the ground is extra conductive and we could get a little bit deeper. We know that there's that extra level that's down there. And it almost was like, okay, wait a second. Does this equate to more depth? It sounds like it does a little bit, but we're still trying to figure out how much that is.
Yeah, but do you think that a company can advertise a brand new machine as having more power without necessarily putting specs and numbers down on paper for you to then evaluate that as a customer and a consumer?
Well, I've been exposed to the fine arts of SpongeBob for many years. And, you know, there's the Krabby Patty formula that everybody seems to be trying to get from Mr. Krabs or Plankton or whoever the hell it was. My point is that's their special formula. And I get why they protect that. And you have somebody, we love Nocta, you know, but I'm sorry. I when you start swinging that legend, it's going to feel like an Equinox. A little bit more allergic to iron, but it's going to feel like an Equinox. And that's a credit to them. And they did it at a better price point. And, you know, that's the game that is played. And I get that. And, you know, both of those companies do contribute a lot to metal detecting. No doubt about that. But I get it why they're protective of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I mean, I could see a case where they generate more power by putting more circuitry or more current through down to the coil, therefore, you know, creating a larger electromagnetic field or a little bit deeper, and not necessarily putting that in any kind of, you know, literature, except for to say that, you know, when we developed this machine, we tuned it in such a way, or maybe there's different windings on the coil inside the coil, and it's generating a little bit of different electromagnetic field that maybe excites the metal a little more. And in a part where they can be like, yeah, this is more powerful than what? More powerful than the Equinox and the CTX 3030. You know, is it new technology for them that they knew something new that they tweaked that their engineers were able to come up with that would then justify them? Or, and I think that's the point of your video, or was it truly just a marketing ploy to put on the box and be able to sell a brand new machine in a very competitive market this year where lots of other new detectors are coming out, especially, you know, in the last few years?
You know, if you think about it, they're in a very tough spot, because it's almost like, let's see, what's the I think it was Michael Jackson's Bad that was like the best selling album of all time. I actually don't know if the Equinox was the best selling metal detector of all time, but all I know is if you look across YouTube, if you look across TikTok, if you go through parks, Bucket list for this year for me is to go to like dig stock or one of those. I still haven't made it up, but from what I hear, it is just the majority of detectorists are using the Equinox, and you can feel the difference. Why? They have to follow that up. That's tough. They need marketing.
Yeah. I can't remember what was the marketing like on the Equinox when it came out. I know they were pushing the whole multi-frequency thing, even though other detectors have been using multi-frequency for years, they really marketed that and came out with that. And people seem to embrace it. People seem to enjoy it, embrace it. Tons of videos started coming out, tons of posts on social media, pushing to the market. Hey, we're going over old spots and we're finding stuff we didn't find before. This multi-frequency must be the best. I mean, that's what I remember when it came out. And, so now you're going to come out with something else over the top of that. You're not going to come out with new machines and say, yeah, it's just the same old crap. You know what I mean? It's just, it's another detector.
They did some brilliant marketing for the Equinox. I don't know how many people saw it because it was kind of the time when views were dying for metal detecting on YouTube, but they did the flashlight thing. And they basically said, in single frequency or even like the Deus was, adjustable single frequency detectors. I mean, it's a you know what I mean. Ones that you could switch that single frequency. It's like changing the color of the light on the flashlight. And the Equinox was like white light, all of the different colors of the spectrum. Everything gets illuminated. And you know what? That marketing turned out to be true. I really feel like that's the detector for New York. Like you could move it around and you could figure out what is around, whether it's big or small. It loves iron, no doubt about it. But what good detector doesn't love iron? It's so good at operating in tight spaces. And what do you need in New York? You need that great separator. Like that's even more important than depth. And how do you get something that is more agile than the Equinox? Yeah, I don't know. I think on paper the Manticore is faster. It might even feel faster, but there's just something about the Equinox separation that was just head and shoulders above everything else at the time. And that's why everybody turned to the Equinox, and that's why everybody is trying to chase the Equinox. So that's like the Michael Jackson Bad album right there. Good luck following that up. Good luck.
Yeah.
But in terms of, kind of one upping the Equinox to the Manticore, wouldn't that be, adding in that 2D screen and since it loves iron, you can differentiate and pull out those objects in the iron fields. Then isn't that kind of the idea
That's a
behind
great
that?
question. They might have focused on the wrong thing. You know what? My favorite. This is getting lost in all of this. My favorite thing about the Manticore is not the 2D screen, the target trace.
Mm-hmm.
It is that they got it's called enhanced audio. You put enhanced audio on. I can't quite figure out the depth audio, but you have different audio features. What I love about the Deus is you can put something called square tones in. And square tones, for me, for somebody who just does not have a talented ear, it makes it so blatant when you have a big object there. And when you're on the beach, like I've had so many gold rings like ring up just like zinc pennies, but you could hear the difference so clearly that it's a bigger object that rings up like a zinc penny versus a zinc penny. Not that I'd skip either one, but it just helps you with that inference. The Manticore has that, and that got lost in all of this. It just was a fascinating piece of paper that led us down this tangent.
Sure.
And you know what? I don't know. I'd like to think we're a little bit better off for it because we started that question about the power. I think if nothing else, we learned, yes, that FCC limit does exist. It supposedly does not affect metal detectors. We also know that there is a heck of a lot of marketing that goes on, and we're beginning to start the conversation about is the performance keeping up with what the marketing says?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's kind
Yeah.
of the outcome of this
Right.
so far. And for people who are like tech driven, who understand more than me, they can dive in. I will try my best to listen to them. I'm getting absolutely hammered at work. And, there's like so much emails that I'm getting, and I'm trying to get through all of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a group thing. Yes.
I don't know if you can see me. We're on camera for those listening. We're on camera. Merrill wasn't able to get his camera on tonight. But real quick, I'm gonna change my hat out here for a minute. And I'm gonna take on the role of Minelab for a second. So where do you go from here? Like what do you think is your next step? Like what happens in your world? Because like you've stated very clearly, not only in your video but also here tonight, it's like you're criticizing Picasso. You know what I mean? You're challenging the molecules within the pigment of the paint you used or something like that, right?
Right.
But you're going to continue learning. Like you said, you're going to let those more educated than you and knowledgeable than you kind of come over the top and help further your education. What's going to happen if you realize that you were mistaken or misunderstood a lot of the responses that came from Minelab in their responses?
Oh, then I would say I'm wrong. I have no problem saying I'm wrong. And I didn't have enough information to fully say that. I think that there is still a little bit more that can be squeezed out of this. And, it's not going to be much, but I think it's really in the hands of people who are techies now, because Minelab made their statement. And I mean, that's what we benefited from. Somewhat. It was a vague statement. I get that. But it gets us a little bit further down the road. But again, I'm balancing that because Minelab is not our enemy. We love Minelab.
Yep.
And we're thankful to Minelab for continuing to push new heights. No, we don't do heights. We do depths.
To new depths. Ooh, that's
exactly. Yeah.
Michael Boyles just made a comment to me and said 50% more power to run the new features and new technology. And I personally, that's my feeling. Tony and I both shared some notes tonight before the show, and I have a section called Ken's Thoughts, just so I could write some stuff down. And I'm kind of leaning that way. Like, and even you before the show, Merrill, you and I were talking. Us three were talking about the battery draining a lot more. And to me, it's like that's almost like a puzzle piece for me. If you're trying to figure all this out, like, they've got to run the 2D the trace screen, and they have to run. Take the power from the battery and the circuitry and get it down to that coil to try to generate more power, to more what I want to say, sensitivity, more ability to separate and identify and excite that metal that's in the ground. And so with you telling me before the show that the battery seems to drain faster than the Equinox,
right,
and yet they're claiming that the machine has more power.
Right.
I guess they could have said 50% more ability or more technology, but that probably wasn't being as sexy as more power, but for a marketing scheme. But I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I do think that's a possibility, and I do think that is part of the, truth. If we'll ever get to that, I don't think that we're going to get full disclosure from Minelab. I think that we have to infer, and I think that that's a great inference. And I think that the fact that the battery drains more. Granted, you have a more powerful screen, and there's more components.
Mm-hmm.
Switching topics on this a little bit. Perhaps the essential question becomes, what is the value of 50% more power? Is that, is it think about it, the lens of a camera. If you let an absurd amount of light in, you're not going to have a beautiful photograph. As an analogy for that. And, is this more power? Like, we understand more power. Like, that's where the hair dryer thing came in. Like, it's going to dry hair a lot faster. But, like, they're probably, it might be something that's misunderstood. And
Yeah.
in terms of performance, 2 months, which is way premature. I'm not going to do a final review of it until I have at least half a year to a year, hundreds of hours, like, and it takes a while. I think people do want answers. I'm giving my honest thoughts right now. I took a video down because, you know what, like, Minelab said they wanted their say. And we're not enemies of Minelab here. They're an entity that has enhanced what we do. And, you know, yeah, let's listen to them. They said their piece. We got a little bit further. That's how I see it.
Yeah. So is there going to be a follow-up in 6 months?
Perhaps 6 months. If something reveals itself, like, I'm
Right.
somebody who operates on, like, what is happening, what just got revealed, and you kind of piece all of this information together. The thing that spurred the video was most definitely that power input sheet, plus the marketing. And it's like, wait, what? And that's why that's why I did the ludicrous speed, Spaceballs thing. And it's like, okay, wait, what are you telling us? That does not sound plausible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess looking through brochures myself of different machines, I guess not seeing those levels that were different. So I've seen that safety card before on other machines that say very similar things, and it's basically saying that they're complying with the FCC regulation, but never have I seen on any of the machines that I've opened up and had brochures on anything that says any kind of quantitative power, wattage, voltage, electromagnetic, whatever that was individual to anything. Like that individual list on the sheet for the headphones and such per frequency.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would have thought you would see. But then as I think about it from a marketing standpoint, it's like, yeah, it's got to be proprietary for each company, and that's like the only card they have to play. Well, I guess there's looks and comfort and ergonomics and all that stuff, and but it's the proprietary stuff of the internal guts and circuitry and the board and the coil and the connection between the two and just how they put it all together, right? I mean, look, you have all these companies, out of China that are making all these, mass quantity machines, putting a different name on them, FBM suppliers and stuff that are putting out these detectors. And they're not really innovating. They're making the case look splashier, different colors, pairing it with different kinds of kookiness to sell it. But when you have these major players, something's got to be done to differentiate the two. Nocta came along, right, and said, okay, we're going to jump into this arena and we're going to come in, and their tagline, right? They're going to do it. They didn't come on and say ours is so much better. They're coming on and saying ours is, right along with the boys with, a cheaper price tag. And that's kind of where they're coming from. Anybody that claims that their thing is superior, boy, that's a tall order. That's a very tall order, because if the public that then uses that machine doesn't agree, boy, it could really hurt you. If you're going to make bold statements, you got to bring bold performance. That's my opinion. But, and that's what I thought maybe this generated this from me, because I've known you for a while now, and I know that you're an honorable guy, you're an honest guy. You only want to put out the truth as you know it at this point. And, I didn't think you were being malicious at all in what you were doing. I wanted to know where it came from. And I think our listeners, wanted to hear that too, which you did
of course
tell us about at the beginning of this podcast. But
the other thing that I have been doing that kind of spurred this is I've been reading old magazines. I've been going on eBay and I have been buying 1970s, 1960s magazines from Metal Detecting. And it's fascinating because I'm learning the capabilities back then. And it's almost like, if you look at the Mona Lisa, a lot of people are just like, wait, why is it such the most famous painting in the world? And it makes sense, yeah, to me because light and shade. Like Da Vinci figured out how to make light and shade. If you look at the paintings that were done after that, like you could see that the Mona Lisa was like one of those stepping stones to get to the next level. And it's really starting to make sense to me. Like we're talking about like the early days of discrimination, like where you could actually understand, okay, this is it's something that is like non-ferrous versus ferrous. Like, and that was
Mm-hmm.
the technology. That was the cutting edge of technology. But the one thing that they did have in the olden days was depth. And I put it in there. They're talking about an 18-inch signal. Now it could be that it was a big object, and they didn't really get into what it was. But we've been going deep for a very long time, and
Mm-hmm.
that's clear too. And we kind of have to learn from history here. We're all about history, but the metal detecting history too. Like, what are these evolutions? What are these steps? And if we're talking about more power, more depth, and we're talking about 18 inches in the 1970s, how far have we come?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Yeah.
separation, and that's the machine that created separation. The Equinox, oh man, that is a Rembrandt masterpiece right there for an analogy. But man, it's fascinating to look back.
It is, and we've had so many people on this show and on my YouTube channel and everything, and we always ask people, what'd you start out with and stuff, and there's a lot of people who've been doing this hobby for a long time, and they all started out with the old muffler on a stick, or some version of that, and it's brought them right along over the years. Like they just did just fine with that. And I always like talking, like at our metal detecting club, I always like talking to the older people that have been doing it the longest, because I love hearing what they think of the new technology, and how it compares with their old favorite that they used to use. They're all, whatever they used to use, Tesoro, whatever. And it's always interesting. It's like, yeah, it's a little better, it's this and that, but people could always find stuff with whatever they were swinging. Even my old bounty hunter that I started with, I found plenty of stuff with that bounty hunter. you know and why do I have 7 detectors? I know you're up to a bazillion right now, Merrill. And like, why is that? I'm not doing reviews and I'm not doing any of that stuff, but for me it's just like, it's like, yeah, cool, I just want to try out the new thing and see what I think of it. I mean, I've done that. I've pulled up a brand new thing. I think I bought the Patriot right when it came out. A real big
Mm-hmm.
Technetics fan. I bought the Patriot, which is just like an F70. I swung that thing, was crazy about it, and real super sensitive, really finicky. Like you could adjust that all kinds of different ways. And then I got my hands on the T2, and once I did that, I just started liking the feel of that better. Was I finding stuff with both? Absolutely. Was I finding more with one over the other? Yes, but not because of technology, but because of my ability as the detectorist to use that tool, and what I was more in tune with. It just jived with me, that T2. And so the other ones has been sitting on my wall ever since. It's been sitting on my shelf. So um, all machines will find stuff, man. And whenever something new comes along, like this Manticore, or there's new stuff coming up from Nocta, right? Somebody mentioned earlier the PI machine they've got coming out, and Fisher's got stuff coming out, and Garrett's got more stuff coming
Mm-hmm.
out. And I just, I'm like you, what you said earlier, Merrill. Where are they going to take it? Like, where's it going to go from here?
How much further can you pull out of it,
Right.
right? If you're
How
talking
much how much
50% more
further do
power,
we
and you're
want it to
talking,
go? That's the other story. Because, like, let's say
yeah.
that we create a super efficient machine, and that's where the drone video I thought that was going to get a lot more views than it did. So there's a metal detecting company that is working on a drone that basically will do. It's more for industrial purposes, but I spun it like, well, geez, we got crypto mining, and they're enjoying their imaginary coins, and why not apply this to like real coins? And I guess it wouldn't make sense if it's like quarters and clad from the ground. I get that, but let's say that there's one that becomes really efficient at identifying gold and pulling signals at the beach. That's something it's like real mining instead. And how much more efficient do we want our metal detectors to become? Because we sure enjoy what's left in the ground. And, the little incremental change, it keeps us going with this. And this is how we cope with the stresses of life. And it's our happy time. Some people do yoga. We swing a detector. We're the cool guys and girls that swing the detectors. And if we get something that is like so efficient, that could be dangerous too. It's a really fascinating angle at this. Do we want something that when we swing over it, we could physically see, oh, it's a ring in the ground? I don't know.
Yeah.
What about the shoes that are metal detectors? I know that they're really cheesy and they're not very good, but the same kind of idea. Like everything, they're trying to simplify it and take it to the next level.
It's so funny that you said that, because I was actually talking about that today in my class.
See?
So one of the classes I talk about is marketing, and all the kids still, first we say that about brands, and really when you're talking about shoes, you're buying glue, you're buying plastic, you're buying fabric, and just machines putting it together. But the majority of the cost is the celebrity endorser and what makes the brand. And one of the kids asked me, "What shoes do you like, Mr. K?" And I'm like, "Listen, you're not going to get this. Maybe in a few years you'll get this. There's these metal detecting shoes. I want those. I need those."
That's funny.
Shoot, I saw a video earlier tonight. This guy had this pinpointer on a string, and he was swinging it around a beachfront, and
That's how you do it.
That. He was knocking him dead, man. You know what he found?
What
He found a box
treasure
with
chest,
a metal detector in it.
Whew.
Yeah, it was buried right underneath the sand.
It was absolutely disgusting too. Like I almost barfed. Yeah,
you can find anything.
I tuned the gentleman into a X-Files video, and
thanks. You're gonna give me nightmares now.
Yeah, and
not good.
NOCTA basically awarded X-Files for great soap operas, great soap opera metal detecting, and I'm a big fan of NOCTA, to say the least. But that is the grossest thing I've ever seen. Oh my God.
Yeah, I knew of Arcalog, but I didn't know about that X-Files guy. So now you've turned me on to him. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it hurt. It hurt to watch,
Bragging,
which is probably why he, right. Which is why he, and he had a little twist to it too. That's what I mean. That's why he probably had 1.4 million views, because, his generation and how he markets those videos and what it gets shoved out to, the shorts, pop, snap, TikTok type
oh my God,
audience that just thinks it's amazing,
And you read the comments like, "Oh my God, I want to try this," and I'm like, "Oh my God,
right?
You don't have the attention span too."
Yeah, Michael Boyles just said the videos of gold fake nuggets with a magnet. That is great, man. Yeah,
that's always good too.
Shoot. So, there's always something new coming along that is going to do that. And when I saw, I've seen you do these type of videos before, where you go out and you'll challenge something, and it's always interesting. I mean, there's others that are doing it too, right? Like you got Calabash and a few other people out there, gentlemen over in England that's doing a lot and trying to, really try to evaluate it to the best of their ability, right? No one's an expert. I think as soon as you try to put yourself out there as an expert, you're taking on a lot of liability, no matter what it is. But you are seeing these videos come out, and I like watching them because it makes me think and evaluate, and see what's going on. I know Tony, he has the Manticore, and so he's been itching to get out on it and put it through his paces too, and then he'll make his mind up of what he thinks of it and this and that. As we're
It's gotta
finding
be torture.
hammered silvers in England and Celtic gold.
Yeah.
I'm sure
That's
that'll
awesome.
improve his attitude.
Yeah, I might have a pretty good opinion of it if I find something like that.
That's right.
That's got to be torture, getting a new detector and not being able to use it because the ground is frozen.
Yeah.
I was banging on the door to try to get it before we got our cold weather, and it just didn't get here in time. So it is what it is, you know. I mean, what I have it, so I'm happy about that. But yeah. I put a nice coat of wax on it every night, put it to bed.
I didn't know I was getting mine. I just had no idea. My wife bought me a Legend for
Good
Christmas and just kind of shocked me. I didn't think that she was would do anything like that. And then I was like, okay, well, I got a Legend, you know. Now I got to use it, and I can't because it's 13 below zero out there for months, it seems like. But we'll get out. We'll do it. I've been watching your videos on Legend. I've been watching other people's Legend. I've been doing air tests, so I'm keeping myself busy with it. But interesting. So what have you thought about some of the fallout, some of the comments and responses people have issued so far on your video?
Totally honest, this is the week that the semesters changed at work. So I was up until like 1 a.m. and I got up at like 4 a.m. I got some work done at work. Building opens at 6. I'm there at 6, and I'm getting ready for the new group of students. Because basically, long story short, without taking us off on a total tangent, you really, in the best sort of way, you have to show the kids you care about them and that you're going to hold them accountable. And that's a lot of work at the very beginning. When you switch semesters mid-year, you get a new group of students. I have barely read the comments. And it's not because I'm avoiding them. It's because, just the timing with work right now.
Yeah.
But I will. And my feelings won't get hurt, like that. People can write what they want to write, and I'm not trying to be obnoxious about that. I'm trying to be fair, and that's why I do it. I want to be able to ask those questions. I want to be able to appreciate the artistry as well. Right. And when I spoke to Mark, I made sure to apologize. I'm like, I know this is your baby, and I am not trying to, I'm not trying to go to that level there. I feel like I am critiquing a Picasso painting, and I appreciate you guys, but I feel what I felt. I feel what I feel, and I saw what I saw, and I feel we.
And you make videos. You make videos on YouTube. It's what you do.
It's what I do, but I want to do it responsibly, and I did my best to.
Well, let me just mention, I'm looking at your channel right now. Let me just kind of go through some of your video titles, okay? Because you have, a bunch of stuff on the, you talk about the 700, 900 with Minelab. You've done a lot of videos on Minelab, right? Talked about Manticore when it was coming out, about the release date. Then you go right into, you're wondering, Manticore after 2 hunts, is it the GOAT or is it smoke and mirrors? Like, you're questioning that, right? Then you get over there and you're like, is it the best? Is it better than the Deus 2? What's the best? You're kind of still trying to figure it out, trying to evaluate that. Then you go into a 5-ring debut at the beach with the Manticore. That must have been a pretty good time. Then you also go, it goes deep, deepest target yet. It's tiny. And on your thumbnail, you put down 13 inches. I don't know if that's truly how deep it went, but so you're hailing it when it's performing well. You're questioning it when you have questions about it, and then it's your latest one where it says, Minelab Manticore 50% more power than the Equinox? Does it really have 50% more power? I think you're questioning the marketing that they shoved at you with this machine.
It's that
and then
balance.
Then you started and then you started talking about when Mark called you and they responded, and you posted their actually written responses to the questions you had. You had 3 poignant questions, and I'm not going to read through them here tonight because I want you all to go over and check out that video and form your own opinion. You can kind of go through there. But anytime you watch a video that challenges anything, And I mean, we can get in all kinds of stuff, right? Politics, religion, whatever you want to do. Anything that challenges an idea, you watch somebody's opinion on it. You have your opinion on it. The people have others, and you make up your own mind, or you go do the research yourself and figure it out what your opinion is based on that. So, I mean, people have to. I think your fan base, your main fan base, and that is people that subscribe to your channel and watch your videos faithfully. I think the majority of the comments look like they were favorable, like, thanks for doing this for us. Like maybe you're a potential customer and you want to understand exactly what more power, more fines means. And if you're not seeing it out there, you may question it. But then on the other side, if you're thinking of getting the Manticore and they happen to watch your video or you had a 5-ring debut or you're getting a thin dime really deep or something like that, then they're like, hey, okay, it's doing kind of what I would hope it would do, because we all want those small targets deep. So, depending on what video you watch, you can take what you want from it. And
I'll go on record again, like saying it is a bloody spectacular detector. The problem is it's coming after the Equinox, and the Equinox is the detector that broke metal detecting. How much better is it than the Equinox? That is what is up for debate, because the Equinox is, man, I have the highest opinion of that. And the marketing is pretty blatant with this one. The claims, more power, more depth, more fines, and the performance that I've gotten from it is Equinox like. It's so tough to tell. I've tried matching signals with the Equinox, and it's gotten every one. There's been none that I have found specifically with the Manticore that the Equinox has not been able to handle.
let me ask you, do you think, I mean, you just kind of said it's your opinion of that, but do you think that Minelab is trying to compare the Manticore to the Equinox? Like, it's my opinion from seeing the talk of the town, keeping my finger on the pulse, if you will, as little as I do. It seems like a lot of people are trying to compare it to the CTX 3030.
Interesting.
And I haven't seen a lot of comparison to the Equinox.
Well,
I guess you would
they
conclude
say,
that, right? Because it's the newest machine. The last newest machine was the Equinox.
I think the soundbite is the 50% more power into the coil compared to the Equinox, though.
Oh, is that right? Is
Yeah.
that the soundbite?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, that
But yes,
answers that question.
it's all good. No, but I've heard comparisons to the CTX as well, and he says it's equal power to the CTX.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
What's interesting though is the CTX sat on my floor. Kelly Cole lent it to me. Sat on my floor for years. People hate me for that, and not hate me, but they're just like, "What the hell are you thinking?" I couldn't get past the separation, the lack of separation. And perhaps I didn't give it enough of a chance. I don't know. But I was so locked in with the Equinox at the time. I couldn't take it off the floor.
Right.
It had no value in New York.
Yeah.
It had no value in New York.
There was conversation in the live chat about that as well. That the CTX is a fantastic machine, just doesn't do it very well in high trash area. The separation is just not there.
Yes.
So
well, you know what this kind of reminds me. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
No, go.
So you know what this kind of reminds me of? Remember when the Max came out?
Yeah.
Max came out, more power, like it's a bigger power machine, and I think it was, but I think that it was also a different machine. It was noisy. It seemed like, from what I didn't never swing it, so I'm commenting on it without doing that. But I remember swinging when I went from what I'll call a quiet machine to like the F70, which is not a quiet machine. And that you can turn the threshold and the sensitivity up and down to suit your noise gate preference, if it were. And I think a lot of people that went from the Pro to the Max thought it was going to be a Pro just with more power, and instead they've got the Max that has so much more sensitivity that you're hearing a lot more targets in the ground, even mineralization, and they weren't used to that to the Pro. So everyone was like either hate it or love it. It was a complete different thing, and it just kind of seems that way to me. Like, is it exactly like the Equinox except you're not seeing the power, or is it is it a completely different machine?
It has the feel of an Equinox. It
Mm.
just has a feel of an Equinox. It has better inference than an Equinox because of the screen, the target trace at the bottom. Although it's not, that can trick you because those super deep signals, you're going to see something in the iron range. If you're digging an area that has a lot of, what do we call it? Oh my God. Mineralization. How am I forgetting that word? Jeez. A lot of mineralization. The deeper targets, it is not clear with target trace. What I love about it, though, is that the enhanced audio that helps me tremendously. That's what they should have marketed. And combination, like the Deus 2 has the XY screen. It's kind of like the 2D screen that is on the Manticore. They might have focused on the wrong thing. If they just said Equinox with more inference, that's a sale right there. That's what it is. But I just feel that I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's too early to speak on it. 2 months, that's not enough. My first time out with it, I got a gold ring in the live stream. Um, it's done a good job. It's a great detector, but we're trying to dance that dance and say, all right, how much higher is it than an Equinox? I have the highest opinion of that. Everybody's got a favorite detector. Man, that Equinox for New York, that is a perfect fit. And I'm glad it doesn't feel too much different than an Equinox. It's not getting me to those deeper levels. It could be because I have swung everywhere with the 15-inch coil. And I don't have the bigger coil yet for the Manticore. And it could be when I get that bigger coil and hit the right site and go a little bit deeper, we get to those deeper things. Then the story changes. But we got on this tangent with the marketing and with that insert and with something that seemed very plausible. And you know what? Minelab was classy, and we dealt with it. I took the video down. They didn't ask me to, and peaceful resolution. That's the way that it should be, and I give them credit, and I think I hope they're happy. With my feelings on this too, and my actions on this too. Um, the world needs more peaceful resolutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm into that. Do you have your hands on the 900, 700 yet?
Not yet. This year, I really want to travel. I do want to get those machines. This year, I really want to travel. You guys were saying England. I'm trying to book a trip to England. Do a little bit of saving for college. Because Daniel's going to be. He's in ninth grade. He's less than 4 years away. So a little bit of saving, but I'm not going to lie. Like I kind of feel that it's going to be more of the same. I know there's that extra frequency that's thrown in there. I know that there's the expanded target ID. I don't want to say that I'm not excited about it. I just feel with the Manticore, like it would have anything that Equinox has. And all of these detectors, that's the other thing. Like I've seen a few comments like, oh, these companies give you these detectors. No, they don't. I buy them. And that's what, and it's not that I'm buying them and trying to be like mean to anybody about them. I'm trying to be objective. It gives me a lens. With each one that I invest in, it's almost like taking another college class. You develop a worldview. It enhances your worldview. You could speak on things. Can I speak on things perfectly? Like, especially on the tech side? I can't. But can I speak on the feel of the detector? Can I test it? I sure can. And I think that that's one of the reasons that, people have asked me, about my opinions for detectors. And I'm always going to try to give my honest opinion. And, I try not to play favorites. I try to just be objective. I'm trying to ask. I'm trying to stay somebody that you know, that I would be proud of. That my mom would be proud of. But I also want to ask the difficult questions, and it's a tough dance. And if I screw up, I'll do the same thing. I'll take a video down. I'll do it over. I'll say I'm sorry, and I've done that. And I'll try to do it in a how do I say this, in the best possible way.
Well, you're honest. I think, you've always been honest in all your videos, to the best of your ability. That's all we all can do, right? Like I could do a video tomorrow talking about my experience with this cup of water I have right here. And
Right.
tomorrow I'll figure out something different about this cup of water and realize that video I just did is already outdated because I discovered something new. But at the time, that was my understanding of it. And until my understanding changes and I have a public platform, and I'm just trying to be honest to be helpful to my watching public that is our metal detectors and that buy metal detectors and want to know, what the new metal detectors are like. Maybe that's what I would do also. But and I agree with you. I believe that you would come out if in 6 months you go, wow, was I really off the mark? I think you will. You'll tell the audience about it. That's the hard part about making videos, man. You're putting yourself out there. You know what I mean? Plenty of people that are in the metal detecting. The majority of people don't have video channels and they don't do videos, but they all have opinions and they all have, I bought a machine and I'm proud of it because I bought this machine and maybe I don't like the way it works on there, or hey, I bought the Deus 2 and it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it's the best decision I ever made. And or some people buy the Deus 2 and figure out, oh man, actually I prefer the Deus 1 because of this reason and this reason and this reason. It's all about personal experience. It's just you happen, Merrill, to have a video channel where you put these opinions and understandings out there for everyone to consume, and not everyone is going to like it, right?
Right.
But you're not afraid of that. You're not afraid of, criticism and
22 years in public education. I'm dead inside.
that's a lot, man. Thank you for that. They don't get enough thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy.
I was at a meeting the other day, and the new superintendent of schools in this new school that's going to be built. I'm in construction, so I was attending this meeting, and the new superintendent of schools came out, and she was like 38 years in education, and no one clapped. And I was like, she was just giving her credentials kind of thing. So I had to make sure I went up to her afterwards and thanked her for, I don't know how good she was or anything like that, but if she was a great educator or not, but to devote that much time to trying to educate our young people is very commendable. So
thank you.
Yeah. Well, you ready to go to New York, Tony? I want to get out there and
yeah.
Oh, you guys just let me know. We're digging.
So this is what I'm thinking, though. We have to bring no equipment with us because he's got over 20 machines.
We don't.
We could just open up his... It's like a gun safe. You just open it up like in the movies, and all of a sudden the lights come on. It's just machines all hanging there on the wall, and
Tony,
pick one and take it.
Middle seat, midnight flights. We could get there.
Cheap.
Meryl could pick us up. He could just give us all the equipment.
That's how you do it. You could pack light. Absolutely. If you... Awesome. Happen to see on wherever you search for travel these days, a flight to New York that's it's like, yeah, you take it, you let me know, we go digging. It's that simple.
$37 awesome. Round trip.
You take it, do it.
That's right.
Midnight
Spirit Airlines in the cargo hold. Yeah,
it's worth every penny until you hit New York traffic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's why
we got pretty good public transportation, though. The trains are good.
It's one thing I haven't done yet. I haven't driven in England. I've always been driven around when I was there, thankfully, because I just don't think I can handle it. Like I know a lot of people say, I don't think I can deal with it.
That one driver put you in the ditch, so I don't know if that's the best.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Like I'd be a little bit apprehensive to drive in England because I'm so used to driving on
that's what I'd
the
be
right side of the road. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, hey, I want to switch gears just real quick. One quick question from over in the chat. With all of your expertise, I think this is why the question was asked over there. So Sweet Lou from Indiana Tones over on YouTube, he says, what, in your opinion here now, What is the best deep silver machine, silver coin machine? The best deep small
Deep-
silver coin machine.
Small silver coin machine.
Yeah.
Ah,
You're gonna go. I know what you're gonna say.
believe it or not, it's
Pinpointer on a string.
Exactly. That was it. Nailed it.
the pinpointer on the string. X finds, yeah, oh yeah.
You had to bring
X-Fine
that up
shows us the
again.
way.
I do. I'm going to be dreaming
This is
about
the
that
way.
tonight.
So I went on the biggest silver rampage with the E-Track. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. That is an epic machine. I just
In a park or on the beach?
a park.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I went on a silver rampage at the end of 2020. That was like my silver year. It was the early pandemic, and I was working remotely. And oh my god, like the amount of holes that I made that year, like was absurd. And you just I'll put it this way: the new silver, like you could clearly hear and clearly see from the target ID on that machine. Love the target ID on that machine. You could clearly tell when it's going to be silver if it's a new silver. It rings up differently if it's like Barber and before, but you could pretty much tell that it's silver. I really like the Deus for that though. Also, um, and Equinox. It's one of those three. If I had to choose one of those three, even though the anecdote was about the E-Track, I'm really appreciating the Deus too. I'm really starting to appreciate the Deus too.
I've heard nothing but good things about that machine.
Yeah.
I haven't heard too many people squawking anything at a even a cautionary tone on that thing. I tell you, we got a lot of people in our club that use it. We got a lot of listeners here on Relics Radio that use them, and I've never put my hands on it. I know Jeff Lubert's got one, and he absolutely loves it. He's another one like you, Meryl. It's got about what do you say he had? Something like 3842 machines, something like that. It's got a ridiculous amount of machines. But he's been detecting for forever.
I will confess that was the fence I was on was the D2 or the Manticore. So
yeah,
and then when I got out to Oklahoma and was able to swing over targets out there with the Manticore actually in my hand, that was my decision, and I'll stick by it.
Yeah. And it's a spectacular machine. It is. I mean, both of them are spectacular machines. The Deus too. There's just something about it at the beach. Like it is just special at the beach. You got to go through a massive learning curve with that machine.
Yeah.
And I was like cursing it for the first few weeks that I was using it, and it's so different, and there's so many hidden parts to it. But once you get used to it, it's like, oh, I see why they put that there, and there is some logic in there. It's just very, it's such a different feel. It's like learning a new language.
See the comment there. I'm sorry, I'm reading through the comments here. Teresa asked you, did you try her D2 in Oklahoma?
I did
when we were with her in Oklahoma.
No. I've swung it a couple times. Just swinging it, just getting the feel of it, because you talk about the weight. The weight is monster. It's not comparable.
Right.
So that was the thing that grabbed me was like, holy cow, this thing is like just swinging a small dowel rod, with no weight to it. So, but I've never actually hunted metal detected with it at all.
Does it have some of the challenges that the D1 has with the head control unit coming off a time or two?
I don't know on the D2. I know the D1 does.
Yeah.
Merrill, do you know?
Did they fix that?
I've never had any problems with the head unit. I almost lost the actual whatchamacallit, the remote in the ocean because it's all separate parts.
Yeah.
And I just found this sick gold chain, and the target right after that, the wire snapped. So it's really quirky. Like in order for you to submerge the coil, because it's all radio signals. It's sending a radio signal from the coil to uh, the remote. When you dunk it under the water, one does not talk to the other. So
Right.
you actually need to snake a wire up it in order for that to work. So I had that wire, but that wire snapped. I think it got caught on my scoop, and it snapped. And then the next thing, my arm hits it, and I see it on the ground, and there's this huge wave rushing in. I step on it.
Oh
Oh,
my
That
gosh.
Thank God I stepped on it and put all my weight down. I felt the sand swishing out. I'm like, oh
You're
wait,
gonna.
it's a family show. I can't say what.
I
Yeah,
bet.
it's yeah. I was
Jeez.
like, okay, but yeah, it was. I didn't wind up losing it, so
Good.
it all worked out.
Buckle Boy said he saw that episode, Merrill. He watched
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. That was quite memorable. Yeah, it's a great machine. It really is. I love that detector.
Yeah. So what do you swing on a day-to-day basis? Like, you try these other detectors, you give them some time. Do you commit to a detector for a certain amount of time now before you jump, or do you kind of just back and forth to you seem to say that the Equinox is kind of probably your favorite or the one know the best.
Yeah, I know that there's the extra inference that you get with with the Manticore. I'll use the Manticore, and I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, all right, the Equinox is. I don't want to say it's done. It's not, but there are things that I like about the Manticore that are really not focused about in the marketing that help it. The target ID is better. I like that. Um, I like the audio options that they have. That's the Deus rubbing off on me, and the Manticore really pulled a lot of the greatness that the Deus has with that. I could hear clearly when it's a bigger object, a ring versus a coin. You could clearly hear the difference on it in enhanced audio. Love that. That's my favorite feature about the Manticore. Um, Day to
Did you
day,
tell Minelab about that when you were talking with Mark?
not at all. We didn't get that far. I wish that they focused on these things. Um, the target trace is cool. It's like the XY screen. XY screen,
Mhm.
you're not going to get, they got zoom on it, but it's not gonna give you the same information that you get when it's up close. When it's a close target, close to the surface,
Mm.
and it's very comparable. I tend to prefer the separation of the the Manticore or Equinox on dirt, and Deus 2, nothing is touching Deus 2 on the beach. Like in fairness, I'll say this: the one machine I have not tried is the legendary Excalibur 2. But yeah, I've tried almost everything else. Equinox is great on the beach. Don't get me wrong, but Deus 2, wow. And
You ever had much experience with any PI machines? I know you don't
yeah,
have a huge need for them, but
I got sent one by Kellyco, the ORX one. It's on lend right now, and I'm swearing to dig up my yard with it because I've hunted everything out, and the idea is, anything that's a little bit deeper, is going to be hit by that machine. So that's an upcoming video. I'm digging everything out with the ORX.
mm, yeah, I'd be interested in watching those videos. I've heard some things about it, that ORX and stuff, but none of the GPXs or any of the other Minelab stuff. I had a chance to swing GPX at
Mhm.
digging in Virginia a while back, and it was such a different experience. I really enjoyed it because it was just so foreign and odd to me, from what I had done up to that date. Like I just had this huge, heavy machine hanging off my wrist, and was hoping my shoulder would hang in there for the day, and it did, and it was just really interesting. And by the end of the first day, I finally, after swinging it all day long, I think, was understanding bullets.
Mark that
But
off
I
the
kept getting
list.
kept getting fooled by headless nails and pieces of iron and stuff. But um,
It's a very tough sell. Pulse is a very tough sell in New York. Not on the beach, that is. Beach, yeah, that can be justified. But Bottle Capville, come on now. That's gonna be a lot of digging, and
Yeah.
you really need to be surgical in New York.
Small coils.
Yeah,
Yeah. Small coils for sure. Oh, so you said you haven't tried the larger coil on the Manticore yet?
I have not, and that is like what I'm comparing right now. These are my latest thoughts. What I'm comparing now is my memories from the Equinox 15-inch coil. I'm taking it to sites where I've taken the 15-inch coil, and that's not fair because you'll get deeper with that. And I've also tried matching signals with the Equinox. Everything is matching. Everything is matching. So
Hmm.
we use the same size coil. One on the Manticore, one on the Equinox. Find the deepest possible target. Everything has matched up, and vice versa. I've got a video coming out with that very soon.
Mm. Tony, what kind of coil did you get with yours? Did you get any multiple coils, or did you just get?
Just the standard. Yeah, but I want to hit that 8x5.5, the M8, 8x5.5. I had that with the Pro, the AT Pro and the AT Gold,
Hmm.
that particular coil, and I absolutely am in love with that coil.
Yeah,
So I would be very interested to use that out here when we get to our home sites, our homestead sites where we've got the iron, and try to pick through some stuff, or even smaller if they go for the smaller, 3 inch or something.
Yeah, the Legend has those new coils out. Have you
Yeah.
tried any of those new coils for the Legend, Merrill?
no, I have not.
They came out, and I'm really interested in, definitely interested in both of them that came out, the LG24 and the LG30. It
Yeah.
was same thing for our fields and stuff. You get just as big a footprint, but a little narrower profile going forward and back that you can get in between weeds and cornfields and stuff that we tend to hunt, especially this property we have coming up. There's so vast and there's so much terrain to get around. It's going to be interesting and stuff. Yeah. Well, hey, tell you what, Merrill, you've been a great guest, man. We really appreciate you coming on and opening yourself up to these questions and telling us about the impetus behind the video and kind of what happened with Minelab calling and all that stuff. And I really encourage everyone listening to head on over there and check out the video. Tony posted a link in the chat. You can also find the link down below. What Merrill did is he took both the original video he put out that he later privated until he had a chance to talk to Minelab, and then the response video after he talked to Minelab, and he put them together and stuff. So you can go there, you can watch the whole thing. It's only, it's not too long, and you can watch it. And leave him a comment, let him know what you think. I'm sure he would appreciate it.
Yep.
If you got any insights for him, he's definitely open to listening and having the dialogue. So I encourage you guys head on over there and check it out, along with his other videos. Man, I'm a big fan of the rest of your videos. Like you're always doing cool stuff. Very unique when you first hit the scene, and I've really enjoyed watching your videos over the year and our friend and our over the years and our friendship too. We appreciate you coming on Relics Radio and always being open for
Absolutely, right
questions
back
and
at you
stuff.
guys.
Man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll give you last word and then we'll put you on hold and Tony and I'll close the show. Maybe we could say our goodbyes off the air.
Geez.
Yep.
Last word. Oh my goodness.
Not last word, but until next time,
Until next time, like, oh my God, all I was thinking at the end of this Minelab thing is, Merrill, why aren't you digging? And go dig. Yeah, if something is piques your interest, sure, you got to pursue it. But you know what? Digging. That's what it's all about. Let's dig.
Let's dig.
Yep.
Go get the good stuff. Well, thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on with us. Hold on, we'll get to you in just a second. Tony, you got anything?
Yeah, good words, Meryl. I love that. Again, appreciate you coming on. You're always open to pop on and grace us with your incredible wisdom and knowledge. But I also want to thank you for asking the questions that maybe other people don't necessarily ask, or we all have the same questions. We all see the same things, and I appreciate you putting yourself out there. Opening yourself up to a little bit of criticism, but asking the questions to kind of help all of us understand a little bit more. So I appreciate you a lot. So thanks for coming
Tony.
on. Yeah, yes, sir.
I always try to remember that the word wisdom, the suffix in it is dumb, and it's a work in progress. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
But thank you.
you're welcome. If you guys want to follow me, head over to YouTube on 5280 Adventures. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram. Type in 5280 Adventures. You can find me pretty much anywhere over there. Come on over and join in with the excitement over there. Appreciate you.
Yeah, and everyone, sorry, I'm just getting a text. I gotta go take care of it. But I'm DK with Adventures in Dirt. You can find me over at Adventures in Dirt anywhere on social media, over on YouTube, and here every Thursday night with Tony and our guests on Relics Radio. I want to say, yeah, it's been a good week. We hope that it's going to be warming up, and maybe next time I talk to you, we'll be talking about, the fact we got out to dig.
That'd be great.
Wouldn't it be? Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Yes, please.
We'll see. Hey, if you're in warmer weather and able to get out and do some digging, go find the good stuff. We'll see you here next Thursday for another good show here on Relics Radio. Have a good night.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker, or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcast, and many other podcast outlets. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure that you follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. Be sure and visit Digging with Seven and Adventures in Dirt on YouTube, and check out the Relics Radio Facebook group page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to relicsradio@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope that you will join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.